Ellen, this is very, very exciting being here in this new environment. It's wonderful for all of us who are writers and listeners. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Rae, thank you for getting me involved with you and Joan. I love it. And Joan, I owe you a debt of many, many years of writing with you way back when, and you were instrumental in launching me as a writer, so thank you very much.
Wow.
I'm going to read from the 3 books that I have. It's from 2005, and it's called At the Edgelessness of Light. And I'm going to read from all 3 of the books, and this will be my first one. If I can get it open here. In the Edgelessness of Light. Here in the brilliance of this place, where light flits from leaf to leaf, where light lies resting, vibrating on stilts of grass, its radiance pulling the shine from embarrassed stars. Here where light folds into fading petals of wild roses, where the feathered light of lost geese hovers in cottonwoods, its brightness polished by pollen and honey. Here is where I become a shadow in safety, retreating, leaving shields and spears behind, back to the beginning, where the edgelessness of light flares across your face, and I see you for the first time.
Yay, wonderful to hear that.
I was born and raised in the Northwest, and my father was a hunter and a fisherman and all those good things that we do in the Northwest. And I have a poem called Son of the Hunter.
James, can you speak up just a tad bit, please?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Maybe I should use a microphone. I can't hold it and do the reading.
Yeah, is there a stand?
There is a stand if
Is there?
someone knows how to put it up. Yeah.
Oh,
I just did,
that's
so
the
I thought- I
stand.
told me they were gonna-
Son of the Hunter. Is that a little better? Okay, good.
Just wait, because.
Yeah, just
Wait,
wait.
Alright.
just takes a second.
Okay.
It has to extend it up.
Loud or not, I can adjust it, so let us know.
We'll test it. Is that a little better for you back there?
Yes, it is.
All right, excellent. Okay, back to Son of the Hunter. The deer hung his bronze head. Dad stood me beside his bronzeness like a member of the family. I let my picture be taken, my eyes wandering down his stretched hind legs, tied with wire to the rafters. My eyes wandering into the red opening that was once a hot stomach. My eyes meeting the frosted stare of deer eyes, browned over with the last vision of pine forest and rock falls. Even after the camera was put away and the hunters left the barn, my eyes continued to wander, to stop and stare at the great silence of coarse fur, the wide arcing horns. I wanted to crawl outside my eyes, to curl up in the open circle of those wide horns, to be pierced as a deer had been pierced. I wanted to feel the pain of that golden deer. I wanted to run my teeth against the roughness of the horns as they entered his head, knobby and touched with his blood. I wanted to be embroidered with his fur, so I would never be cold again. I wanted an animal, and I wondered how he cried when he fell off his mountain. And if I put my finger in the bullet hole, would he breathe again? Teaching in different places. And I go to Greece about every other year, and I go to an island called Leros, where a poet during troubled times was in prison. And he would write his poems and bury them in bottles and jars and cans in the prison yard. It was Janos Recursos. And this is Recursos and I. Like Recursos, I want to hold my breaky pot of coffee on top of fragrant dry twigs of thyme. Oh, what coffee that will be. I want to row across the night bay of Pantelli like the Argonauts. Recursos pulling on one oar and I pulling on the left. I'll carry my Greek-English dictionary with me. I'll ask for the translations of the moon waves like bits of quartz bouncing on the aquamarine sea. I'll ask for the words that say blurp, blurp with both of us as we dip our oars. He will have a mustache running across his upper lip and along the mouth edge to his chin. Out on the waters, there will be undulating splashes. There will be a Greek word for undulating splashes. I know we will gaze as a moon and see nothing, Recursos and I. He will read poems to me in Greek, which I will understand without knowing a single word, like knowing what the moon says. Recursos will say, we've hidden inside each other. No one will find us. Only the moon on your expectant lips. My next book was Speaking with Magpies. And that title came when I was in college, and there was a magpie that used to get up on my windowsill and talk to me. My first poem is There's a Magpie Inside Me. There's a magpie inside me next to the turtle and the dragonfly. It speaks at odd hours. At night, it awakens my dreaming foxes. It flies off to far-off places, holding clouds tight among its feathers, its beak carrying juniper berries. It builds its nest in spring before all snow melts. It listens to the seeping sounds of winter weeping. There's a magpie inside me, next to the horse and a pterodactyl. It waits, expecting hummingbirds to share their honey. It preens its wings, making shining mirrors for iridescent beetles and star-eyed gnats. It never sleeps. It carries the sun from one horizon to the other. It presses its head to my chest. It sings of loneliness and wild iris. Going to Greece, I'm so intrigued with all the mythology, and my favorite Greek character was Icarus. He's like poets, he tried and didn't succeed, but he tried. Flying with Icarus. He said, we won't hold hands. He said, we'll fly through clouds. He said, think of the wax as candlelight. He said, listen to what the birds whisper when they fly close to you. He said, each breath you take comes through me. He said, keep your eyes on the earth. Name the mountains. He said he'd never flown before. He said I was very brave. He wanted to marry me. He said his garden was full of blue iris, blue as my eyes. He said when we get home, we'll count the feathers that remain on our bodies. He said, I'll count yours, and you count mine. I remember how his body heated up, and how the feathers tore off, chasing hawks. I remember how his arms played out, arching and circling in the autumn leaves. I remember how he wailed at the earth as it came to meet him. I remember how he became smaller and smaller, his voice a sweet single note, how he called my name. I go to Ireland frequently. In fact, I'm going, thank you very much. I got dry. I'll be going to Ireland at the end of the month and to launch my book at the Liz Toll Writers Festival in Ireland, which I'm excited about. And this is a poem I wrote in Ireland. It carries us lightly. What landscape blooms under the blue sky of my eyes? Let me paint a picture for you. I can see through wind-torn trees, around corners of roofless stone houses, into doorways without doors, where lichens are the lace curtains now. Walk the Irish land with me, stepping over sparks of pink heather, nettles nibbling our ankles. We'll sit on limestone horses, peel bitter-scented bark from hazel walking sticks. When we come to small gray cairns, we'll find empty snail shells and black and white paintings in raven droppings. A lark will be hovering, keeping her distance, drawing our eyes up to where she calls to rabbits and ghosts of potato farmers. It is a land that harbors sadness, unafraid to cry or to feel lost, a land of hungry grasses that twist and flutter at my sighing. It is a land where the names on the gravestones of our ancestors hold light, where empty roadsides bloom with red tears of fuchsia, where salty winds fill our ears with the sounds of tin pipes and the tight strings of fiddles. When we walk on this land together, it carries us lightly, as if we belong here, as if we've been here before. Ellen mentioned that I do launch my new book, Dreaming Invisible Voices, tomorrow at Garcia's at 5 o'clock. And even though I'll read 2 from this tonight, tomorrow I'll read some more. It's an interesting book for me because all the illustrations and the cover were done by a student of mine at Ponce de Leon, where I've been teaching for 10 years. And at 95, she ran out of money and had to move, and she had these boxes of sketchbooks. She said, "Jim, I don't know what to do with these sketchbooks. Would you like them?" And I said, "Oh, Margaret, I'd love them." So I looked at them, and lo and behold, they had illustrated a whole collection of my poems that I had written in Japan 25 years ago. So I put them together, and the book's all illustrated by her drawings and her paintings. And she passed away 2 years ago before the book was published, but she saw the dummy, and that made me happy. I'm going to read Cow. These are all done in first person. This is the year of the cow. And if you were born in 1925, 1937, 1949, 1961, or 1973, you're a member of the cow year. Okay, here's the cow. If you allow us to live kindly in sweet grassy fields, we'll teach you to be tender and humble on the earth. And when we give you our milk, we give you our patience, which is our strength. We do not say much to you. It is only when you see your reflection in our soothing eyes that you know we love you. And I'll read Tree. There are poems about everything around us, you know, the bugs and the creatures. Tree. I stand for you upon the earth. I'm your arms and legs and your shadow under the soil. I hold you as the young bird I hold the snow of you in winter. And when you cry, I catch the rain of your tears to grow more strong. And when you speak, I catch your wind, your words to wave in the winds, to send your breath to all the stars. Your joys, I drop as leaves. Your sadness, I drop as leaves. I stand for you upon the earth. Now, I'm going to read two after I have a glass of water. I'm going to read two new ones I have for my new book, which will come out any day now, of course. Inscription on a stone. On spring days, he would lie in shadows under his apple trees. Bees in the blossoms filled his ears with songs of honey. He could hear the bark growing like the breathing of thunder. On summer days, he would sit beside the stream. Sunspots on the water gave him their phosphorescent eyes. He could see the flash of trout and dancing stones. In the autumn, when his apples ripened, and there were magpies in the trees, his face was the color of blushing maples. He would paint the clouds with amber apple juice when the sun rose. On winter days, he followed the tracks of winter animals, rabbits, raccoons, skunks. Together they traveled the trail the moon left behind. He gave names to the warmth of their fur and the light in their eyes. Tonight, when he dreams, the language he hears will be the dialect of what loves him. And next one, I tell myself how I should write a poem. Clear a table, cover it with an inch of blank paper, unlined or lined, your choice. Remember, lines can be barriers and boundaries, so choose unlined. Gather all the pens and pencils in the house, all the pens you ever have. A pencil sharpener would be a good thing to have. Select your most uncomfortable chair. It will keep you awake. Soft pillows are dangerous for poets. They remind us of our mothers. At sunrise, without breakfast, sit at the table, face a window view of the sky or the branches of a tree. Imagine the spaces between the branches are where the voices of the world come through to you. Begin to write the name of who you love. Add the sound of weeping. Use verbs that describe your lovemaking. Fill your page with adjectives that tell how your love tastes and smells. Press your pencil hard on the paper when you spell her name. Should you break the lead, use a pen. If your tears have left wet spots on the paper, write into the pool of dampness. The ink will spread, forming a picture of who loves you. Begin again. Write the date of your birth. Tell how it felt to leave your mother's womb. Write how you bled from being beaten with silence. Write how you jumped and laughed when the sparrows circled your head singing. Write how you understood loneliness as a child understands loneliness. And write what the ravens told you when they left feathers on your doorstep. Tell your story as if speaking to God. And my last one I just had published this past month in Sin Frontera. And I would like to share that one with you, my last poem. My winter soldier. I think we all know my winter soldier. My brother played drums in his high school band. He sang Baccarat songs to Fatima down the road. He tickled my mother with a peacock feather. He laughed at my 4th grade elephant jokes. He teased Dad about his bright ties. My brother came home last week from Iraq. He wore a piece of shrapnel from his shoulder on a chain around his neck. He had a prosthetic arm with 5 plastic fingers in a white glove. He called Dad a motherfucker because he wore a tie. He said he shot elephants and peacocks in the Baghdad Zoo for target practice with his buddies. He said Fatima was just another bloody Haji. He sold his drums on eBay. Last night at dinner, he told us how they poured gasoline on a library in Fallujah, shooting into the shadows until they ran red. How the books burned. Even Rumi couldn't escape the flames. He cried in his room all night, tossed grenades of 4-letter words into the dark. This morning, he never came down to breakfast. Thank you.
Bravo!
A spoken word poet, writer, and artist. She has been on the stage at the Festival International de la Poésie à Trois-Rivières, Quebec, at the Loretto Chapel in Santa Fe. And her feisty lyrical poems create a powerful chemistry. The finely wrought music that accompanies her both on stage and with her CD, Black Grace, is composed for her poems and performed by Montreal's celebrated David Gossage. And you can order the CD, right? Living and writing and performing in Santa Fe as well as in Quebec, Canada, Rae Marie's semi-nomadic life bridges the north and south, keeping her concern for the trials. Can you hear? Is this working?
Not very well. Talk into it. You gotta speak into the
You gotta speak into it. Okay.
You have to get closer.
Like that? Okay.
Just below your chin, just around your chin.
Right.
That's it.
Okay. Keeping her concern for the trials of earth and spiritual health of our contemporary lives in focus. At Recursos, where Rae worked, she coordinated literary and archaeological conferences, including the Taos Conference in Writing and the Natural World. I have to say something about that conference because it's a funny story. We did the conference and we had, here you did it, we have
One year we had Galway Canal.
Galway Canal. We had wonderful writers. We had W.S. Merwin. No one came.
Oh,
wow. And other people copied the conference, and I was like, well, I don't know, we... Anyway, she has also done archaeological illustration for backcountry sites for Mesa Verde National Park and work for the Southwest Regional National Parks. Currently, Rae is completing a book of essays concerned with our beloved and beleaguered Earth. An essay from the book is forthcoming in the anthology, The Return of the River, to be published this spring by Sunstone. Rae?
Hello, and thank you all so much for being here. It's really a treat to be here, especially since it's been so long that I've been in a writer's room. David, my musician, and I did do a show in 2005 at Loretto Chapel, but I haven't read a lot since then until this year. So thank you to Ellen for inviting me to read. And thank you so much to James and Joan for accepting our invitation. I just feel very honored and very moved to be reading with both of them. Yeah, well, actually, what I usually do is I just hold it. Usually. So, as Ellen said, I want to thank her. She's going to be our technical assistant tonight. And, of course, the point with the music is for it to support the voice and not overwhelm the voice. So if there's any trouble, just signal us and Ellen will
Do my best.
adjust. The voice is here and the music is there, so I'll do the voice if it needs changing. The poems I've chosen for tonight are partly from the show at the Loretta Chapel and also from my CD. I have one copy over there by the flowers that belongs to my friend Phyllis, who's here, because I sold out this year with the things that I brought for my traveling. But you can order directly from me, or if you prefer, you can go to iTunes for the CD if you're interested. The poems begin in the hills here, since I live half of the time away from home, away from the Southwest. Very often I write poems about the Southwest out of that longing to be home and remembering of the sharing of the land that I have here with so many of my friends and family. So I'll begin with a few a cappella poems that are in the hills here, in just north of Santa Fe. Big Tasuki, winter forest in the day's light, long falls of pine needles hung like orchids on quiet trunks, brighten the whispering wind, glisten, while ponderosa hold still their odors, guarding their bouquet for inner saplines, led deep into the soft, red, pine-covered earth, where we step, trail, tread, listen to the glistening light, sound through clumps of pine needles hung like orchids on quiet trunks. And this next poem is called Archaeology, because I was so involved with archaeology when I was working here at Recursos. It's rather enigmatic, but I thought I'd read it anyway. Archaeology. What do we do when we unearth something, a site, an insight? Do we take away the earth from ourselves? What do we do when we unearth shards and dirt, pebbles and stones, bones, clear away something with the brush and sand from the apparent wall? When we dig into the mounds and depressions carefully to find pots and tools and fecal matter? What do we do when we screen and shake the earth, dismiss the brush, or drive the fox from its earth? Are we unearthly as at certain hours when we must see the wall, the bone? And what is it to be earthly? Do we know? Is there really an earthly hour, a human time? It's almost sunset. Sudden. Was the moon lit when the clattering of coyotes against the mountain rose and abrupted into silence? And were the black raven born as they appeared, new and sudden-winged, out of the morning glow? Return. Return above the village, barely beyond. Deer dance in dawn, glow, breathe, reverent. Elders murmuring chant, offer corn, fire. Black Mesa is so white in the morning light. Frost, perhaps, or the blush of pollen on prayer. Track 1.
I know. Is that loud?
Occupation, sacred. 3 tiny finite creatures under the porch, a torn nest, so small I couldn't tell whether they were birds or bats. too are dead, dry, whole, yellow-beaked. I heard a tiny squeak later as I sat on the steps just above them. Then, on all fours, poking into the dusty round, looking at the one, I saw the minute striving for air in the other. The third one next to him seemed smaller and drier than the first. I wrapped the dead with the tatters of nest in newspaper to burn and bless the barely living one. I lifted into a bag and took across the road where at the foot of a tree next to a wild pink rose I laid him, her, the fine struggling remnant of a life, not knowing if this was a good spot for a bird or a bat to resuscitate, but surely a fresh, lovely one to rest. It is a fine, pure day. Cisco and I sit absorbed, coyote scat, bear tracks, glistening meadow, wild orchids under leaves, something big in the willows. Rain again, pattering. Cisco, so tired, he snores. Still stone, black grace of night sky, peaks, pine, the cold grip of stream. This morning, the little bird bat is dead among the wild rose, strawberry plants and pine, not shriveled really, but tinier and dry, weightless, sinking into the undergrowth, its little body slipping more than quietly away, where she sprinkles pine needles and dust. The next poem is called Diaphanous, and it's a homage to a poet friend who died. And in it there's a reference to Kabir, the mystic poet who speaks of the great sound as the great mystery.
I think you could put the music up just a tiny little more. Okay.
Otherwise,
Did I hear it?
Diaphanous, the geese, your poem, the wind, the body, phrasing a sharp earth hunger, rhyming with the slow molting magma, quickening, your hunger quickened at its source and now sprung into the pattern and chaos of things. Intoned on that formless scale, here I walk among the stone and concrete, listening, grasping the long waves on the tuning fork of death, for your life sounds. I know now Kabir's great sound. It is light like a flute, wider than the songs we make. A far membrane of music, I hear it, vibrant, encompassing cellular memories, living, your elegant heart holding flame in the cave, your words wrought iron, our words black, alive, éphémère. Oh my God. I walk the air and the light-sounding silence between us. I promised to go on, ma belle. I told you as you lay dying I would. Rigorous, supple, stay with the work of words and clay. Away from there, how weightless this mass we are, seemingly inconsequential. This fragile coherence, I know. Still, what are our lives worth? Well wrought, rendered, then rent from the crust of our days. Only love, this euphony in B-flat, adagio cantabile, allegro vivace, encore, magma, presto agitato, the geese, your poem, the wind, the wind. Yeah, and it's beautifully written. David is amazing for writing for that. A thought. The fundamental generosity of life is its coalescing from void into matter. Time and time and time renewed. Sperm, children, bearded iris, dogs, men loving women, wild garlic, water, rock. The fundamental tone, the sounding joy. Believe in the great sound. We'll return to the woods, hike a little bit then. At the end of the day, as the dew cools the forest floor, exhausted or not, we will want to see the elk. It is close to dusk. Still, I have surprised them. So many of them, a herd, mild, gentle, trailing through the trees, moving so silently with me, I with them. So quiet, hoof and foot softening the trail, trailing through the trees, mild, gentle, a herd of them, breathing in breathless space, so tranquil, they nod, straggle, gather, lope. Having lived alone with them, I too am still as we move, close to the quiet of dusk, approaching the edge of the meadow. Still, they startle and immerse this swollen instant with their flight. Soundless, the pungent stink of their fear usurps the place of hide and hoof. Scattered now, invisible in the willows, they stand, absolute elk. You can feel them standing there silent in the willows. Dawn, wet with Jamisa bloom. All the solitary rivers of my childhood return to me that day with you and the sage and the willow meadows and the deer in the gorge after the storm. That day, hiking out on the edge of light with you. Stop for the a cappella one. Up top on the left, still climbing out of the gorge. Okay, this poem is called Matter, and it's dedicated to any and all of us who have ever had to answer the question, does it matter? Does art matter? Does poetry matter? Does the wild matter? Do our very particular lives matter? So, matter. Spirit, seed, bone, you see, I say are what matter in all this matter. The flesh joyous flesh. I'm so grateful for flesh is the icing on the bark, on the bone, trunk, tree. For a bark to the bone, you see, matter can be moved, splashed, thickly applied, carefully spread, touched, printed, or planted, sprouted and eaten or buried. But grace, you see, comes through bone, connected to bone, moving with spirit, structured from seed. Grace, you see, trust your bones. Love song for what we are losing. Sing the shattered hoping, the shattered having, the shattered honing of lives. Sing for the cratered desert. Chant with the thunder of tides. Grieve for the oil on ocean. Hum with the lapping, receding tides. Sing for the breath in our bodies. Hum for the breathless bodies. Stroke a child's hands playfully, tussle her hair, gladden to the laughter of friends, chant for the laboring of love, muscles that move, bricks that stay put, kind eyes telling. Weep for husbands with scattered limbs, wail for masses in disheveled homes, soothe the wives with blinded eyes, ache for the children, they have been bombed. Weep, don't reel, swing, sway, rock, softly, sing for sorrow, hum, thoughtfully for the humiliation, hum. Sing for the vanishing tenderness of our lives, chant, love, dance for its return. Grieve our lost, easy, unknowing days, hum, for now we know, hum to our grief in knowing, chant our horror at knowing, hum, for now we ask, where is our America? No hay más América, est-ce qu'il n'y a plus d'Amérique? Chant for our disbelieving, even though we know. Pray against our disbelieving, even though we know. Chant for our loneliness in knowing again. Speak for the vanishing tenderness of our lives. Praise, dance, sing for its return. Sigh to the daily touch of a lover's skin. Love, don't languish. Stand, bow to the thunder of tides. Hope for the eruption of spring. Fall with veils of sky and sweeping rain. Dance, ferocious. Rejoice for a time you did not fear. Sing for a time you will not fear. Halt the waging of war. Check the torturing of souls. Praise the tender men. Exult in boisterous women. Chant, Laudamus, for hopeful children. Chant. Love for strong minds. Hope for outrage. Stand, stilled, knead red clay and summer sands, stir to the purple-throated sage, whisper with wildly woven moss, hear the sky spreading itself thick with stars, wrapped, dance with the falcons in merciful rain, hum with Venus setting at dusk, chant for a time we will not fear, sing together in the light fabric of day. Step gently, heed the lapping, receding tides. Don't sway, glide, step, turn, soothe, stand with orchids in the wind.
This is, this morning I woke up with this poem in my mind, and it's a really old poem called Shadow Work. And I was up in Canada at Cortes Island, maybe it was the Canadian, even though the other side of Canada. And I met this woman called Judith, and she said to me one day at breakfast, she said, "Don't be my friend, I'm impossible." And I just said, "I specialize in impossible friends." So I wrote this poem called Shadow Work for the Judith at Cortes Island. She said, "You were jumping like a child. You were giving your power to the dead gladioli. You were cross circuits with the soldier's boots. I wanted a queen of melon of you. I wanted El Arbol and the queen of ladders." She said, "You were a daughter of geranium weight and quilted depth, but I wanted the thread to crochet me eternity. I wanted abacus of your ribs to conduct symphonies, sound to become a mandolin the fish could swim." She said, "I like your poems, but your present was She said, "I like your poems, but your presence was crackling cellophane, a paper safe when I wanted the sitar. I wanted the broken column that stood beneath Frida Kahlo's head. I wanted the spider to weave your face a moon, strand by strand, your bright, reflective gaze. No," she said, "I wanted you to be the moon's last laugh, to stop reflecting purses, frogs, and pain, to generate compliments and silhouettes, to carve sonatas in the bark of locust, and invite kingfishers to fly out of your brain." She said, "I want more from you than you can give. I want diamond sutras of friendship, medicine bottles filled with flowers all in deep bloom. I am removing the dimmer switch. I am escalating the stakes." She said, "Become the Queen of England. Become the lioness of violins. Become once more the ringing palace bells. You're all cross purposes and headlit deer, a bastardized version of a holy text." She said, and I have to admit I sought her advice, "I see you other than you are. I see you hold yourself back with a plastic waist. I see you ostracized by a leaden foot and a skitterish mind." For I had asked, and then I gave her thanks. She was the one I chose for this particular taste. I said, "Give me the shadow that I see in your beautiful face." So, thank you, Judith, wherever you are. Other Judith. So, I like flowers too, but I have an organizational problem, so I need to. They're beautiful. I have a lot of stuff going on here. Okay, this one's called "On the Beatific Rag." I feel like the wife of a beatnik poet, folding hip platitudes of wash, defrosting huge chunks of eternity, cooking for the masses, slinging holy hash. My house smells like New York or the Bay, full of cats and mattresses. My life's a cookout when you never know how many will show up. Canned beans, whiskey, a sunset with a gong. Like the long-haired beat wife of a long-haired poet, shooing children in nightgowns to a far-out place on a down planet, sitting around a wobbly table hacking at a piece of tough meat called every day. I am no nonsense making lemonade and cleaning the refrigerator on the longest, most beautiful necklace of days called summer in New Mexico. If you visit, I won't clean up for you, yet summer is one large party with me, the caterer. The problem here is I am the poet, my own wife, the poetry chick of this nuclear family. Just like the wife of Neil Cassidy or the lovers of Kerouac or Going on Fire Lookout, following Gary Snyder up some scree. I feel like Diane DePrima's worst dream, trying to clean an uncleanable scenario, carrying cleanser in a bottle of vodka, my boredom appearing on TV talk shows, and the host says, "And now we have a guest from that fabulous far-flung era, the Beat Generation." I enter with a feather duster. I am holding my slim volumes. Jazz plays while I read, snapping my fingers about lost love like the last gasp, weirded out wife of myself, an unknown beatnik poet, one who loved to drive carpools as if New Mexico were just created for her own mundanity. I don't know, just some light ones, you know, some old and light. So this one, I wasn't going to read, but this is for Nora and Roland. Nora Pickens and her late husband remodeled and refurbished the little 3-room adobe house that we landed in April of 1973 in Nambe. And Nora's here tonight, so I went to the car to find this poem in an out-of-print book, and it's called Nambe Pantoum, so I like to dedicate it to Nora. On the Nambe Road, we lived 3 years for free. 3 railroad car adobe rooms heated by wood. Water carried in, my water broke, a baby came to me. Stork of my own 2 legs, beak of pain. 3 railroad car rooms adobe heated by words. Classical music of apricot trees. Stork of my own 2 legs, beak of my pain. In a Sears Roebuck rocker, a baby drank me. Classical music of cottonwood trees. I nursed that girl all seasons through 4 loves. In a Sears rocker, that baby drank me. Breasts can fill with music late in the century. Nursed that girl all seasons through 4 loves. My heart never as full of gesture as then. Breasts can fill with music late in the century. I rinsed her clean in a yellow plastic tub. Never a heart as full of gesture as now. A woman walks in beauty between 2 worlds. I rinsed her wholly in a yellow plastic tub. First child, then second. So simple love. A woman walks in beauty between you and me. The pilgrims passed Good Friday. Nothing avant-garde. First child, then second. Uncomplicated love. I gave my hands to children, my mind to the other world. We need the pilgrims passing. Nothing avant-garde. We need the Navajo, the Spanish, and the Jews. I gave my hands to children, my mind to the other world, carried a suitcase packed with candles, wine, and bread. We need the Pueblo people, Santeros carving faith. My children are walking Sabbath, carve me peace out of wood. Carry a suitcase packed with candles, wine, and bread. My children are prayer flags, shake blessings with their breath. My children are Sabbaths, carrying me peaceful out of this world. We carried water. My water broke. 3 babies came to me. My children are prayer flags, shaking blessings as they breathe. In Nambe, like pilgrims, we lived 3 lifetimes free.
Hey.
It's not every time that you get to have the person that inhabited the space you inhabited sitting in the same room, so I had to go get them. Thank you. This is my latest book, which I think is like 4 years, 5 years ago, and it's called Rice. And it's a series of 14-line poems that one could call sonnets if one were very, very relaxed. And I kept it like a journal. I had other poems also, but I kept these like a journal for about 3 years. And it's really funny how something comes over you and you can be doing that activity. And now if somebody said to me, write a 14-line poem, it would be very difficult. But then I wrote 100 of them, and there's about 70 some of them in this book, Rice. So I'm going to read you a few. These are a little quieter. You gave me a love bite the week I turned 50, and I became like all other women. The woman at Mustang Gas, the woman who works at Walgreens, whose mother works at Walgreens also, the women named for stars and those named for hope, women who love God and worship inside and outside churches, those women who stand outside the house and weep, and those whose body has failed them, and those who have failed their bodies. All of these bitten by love, as I have been, unbeknownst to me, on the week I turned 50. I guess I marked this one because it was one of the first. What happened was a friend was a typewriter, and I wrote that, and after I was done with this piece of rice paper, I noticed I had 4 sonnet-ish poems, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I've been reading a lot of sonnets, informal and formal, and I decided I would just keep it like a journal. And so this is one of the 4 that was on the first piece of rice paper. The brilliant scholar can be tight with money. The kind-hearted woman has no mind. The lazy are perfect with children. The beggar should never apologize. A man tried to sell me a stolen hat. Then God blessed me right and left when I gave him a buck. The wad of money stuffed into his pocket padded my guilt. My parents taught charity all my life. I forgot how to beg until now. In Tibetan, she said I'd make a good holy beggar. My children ask for little. They are trained. Our dogs know how to beg and die too soon. Our cats live long. This life more purr than bark. And really, it is the journal. So this was when my daughter, my eldest, came back from Nepal where there was a terrible accident. But I guess it's not really mentioned here. She came back from Nepal with a pierced nose and a certain heart. Last night I dreamed her feet were painted henna and black as if for marriage, her head shaved as if for ordination. She and her sister ate rice, had one body spanning years. I live on edge. The henna cost dearly, or so I dreamed, and would be danced off in days. I saw her alive and fine, felt ancient weariness, her zest and my fear, her face and my fate. Moved not to tears but to the fire, where I sat by her and sat, drank ginseng tea for strength, and filled the night with thanks. Prayer leaked from the night. Prayer leaked into the night from my amateur heart. You might recognize some of the characters mentioned in this poem. The Diego is Diego Rivera, just to clue you in. Diego, Henry Miller, Paul Gauguin, Dylan Thomas. You want the bon vivant and I've been trashed. Yet how lucky we are to be alive, the weather unseasonably cool, while we make love all night, fight knockdown, drag out fights. I watch your face go beautiful. You say, it's her that made it so, the other. Swiss undercover agent in scant garb. It's everything, midlife, skirt chase, sex. It's soul work, old song, joke, cliche, like sweet young thing. I grab the I Ching, pull tarot, read runes, swirl leaves in tea. Some would grab a gun. What men want, wives do not provide. It's not me. Men love this book, I have to say. I've just been finding it out. Yeah. Why don't we let's do this one for the dead among us. I mentioned Bill Gersh and Don Grolnick and Robert Winson and Rick Stevens. Some of you know some of these people. Gersh gave me permission to write any kind of sonnet I want. Just write a fucking sonnet. And Grolnick said in a riff from Death, go chick, go. And Robert says, you'll never meditate. Stop kidding yourself. And Rick inquires after my health. Just write a sonnet. Forget ABBA, CD, CD, CD. They all assemble in these 14 lines. Give me thumbs up. Go ahead, the dead said. My living love lost his job, cut off all his hair, drank love in a beer, wanted to trade romance in for a new model, rode off over there. I flipped. I did the change of life dance, sang Growing Old in America Blues. I cried myself down 10 pounds. Weight returns, but the dead cheer me on.